Okay, there you are. Hello, pretty one. Wow.
Like this. You better.
Here we are. Oh, behind you. Let's start that camera. There you go.
Hold on. Here, that's a better background. Our desk, our table, dinner table is messy. Okay.
So hello
Is that
everyone. We are finally ready. We were just trying to fix some feedback issues here before going live with you. Welcome to our COVID-19 update with Miss Evelyn Apostol. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know last time we had a little bit of issue because you are so in demand that we had problem with your schedule. I'm sure you are still today, but I know that you put this time away to talk to us again. Now, we have a lot of viewers that had questions and we were not able to answer them in the past. So how have you been lately? What are the changes in the past 2 weeks that we haven't spoken to each other?
past 2 weeks it's been pretty quiet out on the street, right? You notice that?
Yes, yes.
That's strange.
That explains the good decline in the spike of the infection. So right now we're actually experiencing a little bit of the downward curve. It's not flat yet. There's still some active infections and some transference of the disease still going on, but it has gotten down. My concern is now is I have seen recently a lot of protests, especially in San Diego area and in somewhere in the other states as well, that they are prematurely reopening the some of the public places for public I guess for public, open to the public. That's what I'm trying to say. So in Florida, they had started to open up the beaches, and I've seen a large number of people going in the beaches now. In San Diego, the protests, they're not even practicing social distancing, and the closest to us is Huntington Beach. They are rallying. They have these flags. They have people around, and they're stopping people in the street, talking to them, having them write letters to the governor saying that we should reopen it now because it's hurting the business. Now, I'm not saying that it won't benefit the business to reopen, but this is the reason why there is a decline on the infections is because of the shelter in place. I mean, I think everybody would agree that that's the reason why we are not the next New York yet. And I know that we're ready because I've seen a lot of work that has been done by the city of LA, getting beds and hotel rooms ready just in case we have that much influx of the disease and infections like what New York just experienced lately. And they still are, because I still follow New York, and a lot of healthcare workers there have also been themselves infected. And sad to say, there's been a lot of deaths still. So we're still lucky here in the western states, especially here in Southern California, that we have not seen that. And that's partly because of the shelter in place and the strict restrictions that we're on right now. It is painful to stay at home and not be with family and friends at this time. But this is the least we can do to keep the pandemic from spreading. What is your thoughts on that, on a scientist point of view?
On a scientist point of view, I don't believe it's still safe out there
It's
because,
right?
yes, it's premature. The virus is still at its stage of mutating. And from what I know, it's already on its second strain. So I haven't heard about another strain, but it's in the works or something, the virus. So, but I know on the other side of it, of course, we've lost, like, from last week, it cost the country, the economy, $70 billion already. So, and I'm glad that Donald Trump has formed a group or a task force. He select group of businessmen, top businessmen, to do some planning on how to, move our country towards economic development. But also, I said it myself, I'm going to be leery, not trusting to be going out there so fast. And even if I do, I would still wear my mask on, you know.
Yeah.
So, because it's just too fresh, too soon. When they officially lift the quarantine in LA County, I would not be one of those who would be rushing out the house. Come on, let's go to a club, let's party. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait it out first and see what happens in the next 2 weeks again. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to be staying in my house. You know, I'll still be good. Probably I'll start jogging and walking around instead of going to a club. You know, for my workout and exercises, which we started doing. But this weather is not helping everybody because we're waiting. It is this time that we're waiting for warmer weather. The weather is up and down. It's fluctuating so much, you know. So today we were planning to go out walking after my work, and here we are. We're stuck at home again. It's so cold. Yes. So and I would tell people to just be very careful. Still continue the practice that you were doing. You know, bring some sanitizing wipes, and then wash your hands. You know, all the time when you touch a surface or something. Still do that hygienic practice. It won't hurt. It won't hurt to be doing that.
So what
And
I'm saying is to not be complacent.
yes,
Still
do
be
not.
vigilant. You still wear your
Yes,
face coverings when you're out in the open. Make sure that you still wash your hands as often as possible, especially if you touch something that doesn't belong in your immediate surroundings. If you're outside, even the mail, you need to make sure that you disinfect before you open it, or you want to put it in a box and leave it for 24 hours before opening it. I think that's a safe way to do it. And I have a question here from Hey Attorney Monte Claro. He has a question for you.
yeah.
Would exposure to air and elements cause one to contract the coronavirus?
Well, there is a what do you call? I heard one scientist talking about airborne. I believe it's airborne already. I mean, what do they mean when they say airborne? They say it's by contact or by coughing, but this virus, particularly this virus, lives in the air for 3 hours. Imagine if that air blows towards your direction and that virus is still there for 3 hours. So I would still consider it airborne. When I believe airborne, when they say it, it lives, you know, in the air until it finds its new host. You know what I'm saying? There's no time limit, right? So I still believe that it's airborne. That's why I would still be very careful at this point until I don't hear a drastic drop in positive cases. Now, I still would be very careful.
Yes, I think what it is it's airborne for a few moments because the droplets are heavy. So, for
Yes.
example, somebody sneezes or coughs, it is transferred to that air for a certain moment in time. Eventually, it will drop to the ground. This is why social distancing matters, because you cannot be within 2 meters of that person. So even the downwind can't get to you, because if you're in the downwind from that person, if the air or there's an air, if there's wind, you can still inhale that droplet and become infected. So in that sense, it is airborne. But in a hospital or a science, not a science, but on textbook, airborne just means that it's carried through the air. Not
It
being,
is.
yeah. So
It's
it's
this.
not. It's
Mm-hmm.
So the only time it's airborne on its proper definition is if you were on a hospital setting, in a treatment room, or and they're doing procedures that would make the droplets available in the air. If you're suctioning those high pressure areas, that will make the virus airborne. And these are usually done in a negative pressure room, so the air doesn't go outside of that hospital, of that room. But right now, it is still droplet, but it could be airborne for a few minutes, and then eventually it will drop it around until it reaches somebody and touches them, or travels through our mucous membranes to the lungs and through the mouth and through the nose. And this is the reason why we do have to wear coverings. Now, the effectiveness of face coverings is not 100% as well too. So this is the reason why we also need to wash them. If you can put some sort of a filter in between the cotton ones that is homemade, that's also good. But something is better than nothing. If you're open to
I
it,
have
post.
I've been wanting to make that mask
Mhm,
because back then I used to work for an aerospace company.
mhm.
When we would make, we would be testing fibers, to reinforce the fibers. We would layer the fibers. There's a direction, there's one direction, and then the second layer we would rotate it by 30 degrees or 40 degrees or 45 degrees, and
Mhm.
then the next layer you would take the fiber again or the cloth by 45 degrees. So if we just say 30, 40, or 45, so we would say 30, so you would rotate. So when you layer the fibers, they're not parallel or lined up against each other, because if you layer the fabric straight top each other,
Mhm.
uh, it may have tighter pores. Let's say you have three layers of the fabric, but if they're superimposed parallel to the fabric, right, against each other, it doesn't make sense, because this is how the fibers would be if they would be
Yeah.
lined up or this, right? But
Yeah.
if you rotate the fiber 30 degrees, this, look at the size of the pore, and then the third layer would be 30 degrees. So you are making the pores of the fabric much smaller, because that's my idea. I said, I hope people thought of that, because I just thought about it. And just combining my aerospace, background and my biochemistry background all together, I said, although I have my fabric, I haven't had the time to make it, but I'm sure it will work, because if you have a loose fabric, when you buy those sheets, it says 200 thread count, 300
Correct.
thread count.
Yeah.
That means to say that's how many threads per square inch. So 1,000 means it's really tight, smallest pore. But if it's 200, they're too loose. It's like cheesecloth or
But
something,
the
or 300.
icing silk
That's
and
fine.
all of that, so they're really not filtering anything. What I want you to ask you is, what do you think of putting coffee filters in between those fibers? I think that would work a little bit better, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's nice. Or even, you know how we have cotton in the Philippines? They're in rolls. I would say cut, but I don't think they sell that kind of cotton in
Yeah.
the store. But you buy those cotton balls, the big cotton balls in the bag, and unroll them and layer them, put
Like
them in between.
the gauze kind of
That
one.
would be
But
right.
yeah,
You won't tear it up, right? Because I've seen, it makes me mad, because many companies are selling face masks. It's just for fashion.
yeah.
But we
And
have to talk about functionality, right? Functionality.
functionality. Mhm.
Yes,
Some of them put
exactly.
appliques on them, some bling blings on them, but you know what? These are really containers for virus and bacteria to stick on, and that would
Yeah,
make masks unwashable, and therefore you can't sanitize them. So if you put too much
exactly.
stuff on it, you'll just putting more places for the bacteria to grow. Not even COVID-19. You can have this a regular bacterial type of infection because these things are not being able to be sanitized properly. So if you use
Exactly.
a mask during the day, you need to really wash it at night before you reuse it again. The thing is, because you touch it and the outside of that mask is no more, as clean as it should be. So now you're putting it back on again, and sometimes it touches parts of your face. Now it's in your hands, right?
That's
So you
right.
really
It is.
need to be careful wearing those homemade masks. Not that I'm saying it's bad, but it's good, better than nothing. But if you know how to protect yourself, even better, one step ahead. And again, me personally, I would recommend put those coffee filters and cut them to size and put that on the inside of the mask. Take it out, change it in every day or every time you use it, because that's still, if you think about it, coffee, filters through that from the solid portions to the liquid. So it's
Yeah.
still better a filter than anything, and it also sort of removes the aftertaste of the coffee. So that means it has a little bit of protection rather than just plain cotton or plain silk sheets or plain plain fabric.
No,
It doesn't
yes,
fit anything.
I'm just not really gonna be comfortable wearing those masks, honestly, because I look at people wearing them and it's lifted up here.
Yeah, it's
So
not
they're
really airtight.
fit
Yeah.
your nose bridge. There should be a tight seal around here. So when you wear, those people who are watching this video, make sure that it's sealed up here. That's why those whom I've seen videos of companies making the mask, they insert a wire there, certain wire, and then so you can fold it, to conform to your nose, your
Your
face
face.
contour. Then it stays tight here, as tight, So that would be a better idea instead of those fashionable masks. This is not about fashion, okay? This is about safety. The functionality is what you have to um, put into perspective there. Number one, why you're using a mask is to protect yourself, not for fashion. Okay, so that's
To
just one
protect
thing.
others from you too. Like you will be walking around and you're the one spreading the disease and not even knowing it.
And then when you touch like you said, you touch something and you touch your mask, and then of course you carry it on whatever is on that surface to your mask. That's why I always have a bag, a plastic bag, and I have my wipes there. Like whenever I enter the door, I have my gloves already. I have these wipes to touch the door, to push the door. That's what I do. And whenever I grab nowadays it's a good thing. This grocery stores we've been to, they have the sanitizer right there by the cart, so you can spray and clean that. And yeah, they've been very conscientious about this nowadays, which is nice.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's another question from a Carol regarding using the AC inside the car. How safe is that?
Which one? You got choppy there. Oh,
The use of AC while inside of the car, is it safe to put the AC on when you're driving your vehicle? Well, first of all, if you're by yourself, then it's safe to put the vehicle on even without a mask because you are by yourself. But if
You're,
you have a passenger that is not, you don't know, it's not a member of your family,
it's not the AC. It's the people around you. Worried about, because when you drive, it's blowing air, it's circulating air in your car. And the reason why we are being quarantined is because of distancing. There's no other car next to you when you drive in the freeway, right? There's no other people there. It's the people inside the car that you should be worried about. If you have somebody and you have seen that person for a long time, are you sure that that person is safe? It's not a carrier of this virus. So I would be more concerned of the person inside the car than the AC.
yes,
Right?
that's true.
Yeah.
Whether or not they have the mask and then they sneeze on you, whether or not you have the AC on, you don't have any barrier between the two of you. So that's the reason why you don't want to be in public transportation at this time as well too, because that is one of the best places to contract the disease. If you're when you're in your Uber, and you be careful touching the handle, the seat, because you
Yeah.
never know who was there before you. If you're in a bus, you never know the person in front of you, behind you has it. You're sharing the same air. So what happens is if they cough or sneeze, and this is the reason why the airports have been closed, is because of the the airplane passenger transporters. These have been documented that the people that have been on the plane and had experienced having somebody next to them or behind them or around them cough and sneeze, they were
Yeah,
positive
yeah.
towards the disease.
Last November, just flying back from Miami after my 1 week of training on a new product, and I was seated right next to this lady, right to my left. She's the one closest to the aisle, and Edmund is on my right. This lady must have coughed 10,000 times during the flight, the 5-hour flight. And luckily, maybe because I was taking an antibiotic at that time due to a skin infection, I didn't get sick. When we got off the plane, Edmund was already very sick. So think about it. It was so fast. And it could have been a coronavirus at that time. We don't know. But him being exposed to this lady, honestly, he was coughing nonstop and covering this. And the arm is right next to me. Okay, he's covering it, but I'm seated on her right side. Imagine that. Thank goodness I was on antibiotics at that time. I didn't get sick.
Yeah.
But
That's going to be very difficult to recover yourself.
The plane, it's really scary to be. I don't want to be traveling right now, honestly.
For the rest of the year. so there's more questions.
Yes, about flights.
The questions are related to each other. One question is, do bandanas work to prevent the spread of the coronavirus? And I think we talk about the type of fabric that's being used for the bandanas or the mask. And then Mitch Bush asked whether using a mask along with a face shield is much safer. So, well, the thing is, the more layers that you have, the better. And just be careful. Make sure that you can still breathe through all those filters that you have on.
Exactly. The face shield is not tight on your face. The
Yeah.
face shield is just right here. That is about 3 to 4 inches of distance from your face to the face shield, because I used to do that, but I still had a respirator underneath
Right.
back then.
Right.
Yeah, I would
The
still
face
wear a
shield will
respirator
prevent
or
the
a paper
spread
towel.
of the droplets right directly on your face. But if you don't have a mask, it could still go under the face shield and you can inhale. And remember, when you inhale, you take the
You
breath
have
in.
protection right here, and
Yeah.
your mouth too. In your mouth, you tend to inhale when you're speaking. You tend to inhale through your mouth, like what I'm doing right now. I'm talking and I inhale, right? So if you don't have that protection right here, you may have a face shield. It's only halfway safe, I would say, right?
But again,
Yeah.
something is better than nothing, right? That's what I always say.
Well, that's true, but I would still prefer a mask, because it's really, as long as it's sealing here, right? And then for your eyes, well, as long as you don't touch your eyes, that's why bring wipes, sanitary wipes, not sanitizing wipes,
You
right?
know, good
I was
exercise.
other people were rushing. They said, "Oh, wipes!" Like, but that's baby wipes. I said, "That's not sanitizing. That's baby wipes." And people were loading them on the cars like crazy. I said, "The heck?"
That would just take care of the physical, waste that you see, but it does not necessarily disinfect and kills the virus. So it's
Yes.
cleansing but not disinfecting. So there's a difference there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
that's true.
so there's also something that I want to bring up with you that we spoke about last time. How do we take care of ourselves at home? How do we, now that we're in shelter in place, we talked about the nutrients and supplements that we could use to help boost our immune system. So, for those who have not seen that interview last time, can you enumerate one more time again those nutrients or supplements that we can use during this time to boost our immune system,
That
please?
time, when this was already out, even before this became declared pandemic, I already was thinking about recommending zinc. Zinc is the number one that I recommended, because it's been around on shelves in stores. Zinc tablets, or those lozenges, right? For colds. Um, Go figure why zinc you take zinc lozenge when you get a cold, because the cold is caused by a coronavirus also. So zinc is directly involved in our immune system, and it's a very important metal that helps or promotes the strength of your DNA. Like the way I explained it last time, our DNA is a double stranded molecule that's intertwined, like helical, right? It's like if you have a ladder, right? The steps of the ladder are connected, right? So to the ladder, and if you twist it, it becomes a helix. That's the DNA, right? So the zinc is involved in that, in promoting the strength of your DNA. When a virus attacks it, it what do you call that? It prevents the virus from causing the dismantling of that DNA. First would be it will be untwisted, right? And then it will be denatured, meaning it will be split into two. So the zinc is the one that promotes the, how do you call that? The strength of the strand of the DNA. It prevents it from defragmentation. That's the actual terminology for that. Because when the DNA is broken into pieces, it's called fragments of DNA. That's when your DNA is broken down. So it actually helps in promoting what do you call that, youth, because your DNA becomes stronger and it doesn't die right away. And number two, there's also, I added, because I read so much about vitamin D3, And it's not only good for promoting bone health, right? It prevents osteoporosis, but it's also, that's why they always say go out in the sun, get at least 10-20 minutes of sunlight, but do not go out there during the hours of between the hours of 10 to 2, because that's when the UV radiation is most intense. You don't want to get skin cancer while promoting bone health, right? So are you there, Janice? I think I lost you.
I'm right here. I'm here.
Oh,
Look at you. I want you to have the full screen so they can
oh.
see you.
And then I talked about glutathione. And for most Filipinos, we know glutathione. I guess every Filipino, when they hear glutathione, oh, you want to get lighter or what? And you know that, right, Janice? So, but glutathione is an amazing molecule. It is composed of 3 amino acids, and it is directly involved in producing our cellular energy, which is ATP, which is also involved in biosynthesis in our body, biochemical pathway in our body. ATP.
Adenosine triphosphate.
So, and also, it has a lot of, you get a lot of benefits from glutathione, right? And unconsciously, you're getting lighter, right? Which is what Janice explained last time. That is the side effect of taking
Yeah.
glutathione,
Well,
a beneficial side effect, but it also helps lower your sugar, blood sugar. Since I've been taking glutathione, Edwin would test my sugar, and his sugar has been really, it's really getting lower. The first time we test after taking like glutathione for 2 weeks, I had him test his sugar. I think it was 120, 122, and 2 weeks later it's 102. What? I said, and then when he tested my sugar, it was 87 and it went down to 84. So I said, okay, I'm gonna stay away from glutathione first. I need my sugar, okay?
that's a little low. It's borderline.
It's really good in lowering blood sugar. You get a lot of benefits. If you have the time, read more about glutathione, right? But again, you gotta ask your physician first, your primary care physician, if you're under medication or some type of prescription medication. You gotta find out first, if that would be beneficial. Taking this, it might, you never know, right? So, and also B12. I kind of stayed away from B12 for now because I might have an excessive amount of B12 in my system already, because I've been taking it for years, but I don't feel the difference. But I'm over boosting my immune system now. My immune system is so active now, I believe. So I have to lessen a little bit. At the onset last year, like during winter time, I would raise, jack it up, my immune system supplements. But now am actually tapering down. During the peak of this quarantine season, I raised our zinc intake of 100 milligrams per day. Now, since last week, I lowered it to 75, and then maybe a week from, or maybe next week, or towards by May, I would only be taking 50 milligrams per day. That's how I take care of intake of my supplements, because I'm overdoing it. You also don't want to keep your immune system overactive, because by the time it might plateau on its activity, and by the time you have this foreign body in your system, it might not work, because it's already overworking. You know what I'm saying? You reach that saturation point and then it might fail. So you gotta slow down a little bit. All
So
right.
too much is not good too.
No, it's not good. Yeah. Even zinc, if you think, oh, zinc is the best, yes. And many doctors really talked about that on TV several weeks ago. Until this day, they're talking about that. And that's the number one they recommended. It, especially even for colds, if you start having a cold, within 24 hours at the onset of your cold, start taking zinc. And I promise you, your cold will not last for a week. It will only stay for 3 to 4 weeks. Luckily, since what do you call, last year, when the winter season occurred, I haven't been sick. Honestly, thank you so much. And I'm always sick. I take my flu shot every year. I can't be without a flu shot. I even had my pneumonia shot already. I'm done with the regimen of 2 shots, and it was painful. It's a painful shot.
So we have a question. What
I
is
take no pain. I'm sorry.
what food is
What
rich
food
of
is
zinc?
rich of zinc?
I already forget. Honestly, there's so much there. I think seafood. Yeah, I
Green
already
leafy
forget.
vegetables will be full
Green
fat.
vegetables. Yes,
Mhm.
green vegetables.
And but
And
as of right now, I think that the best thing is for you to pick up the just generic zinc from any pharmacy as a supplement. You get the entire dose because sometimes with just our diet, you won't get it from one thing. So your
yeah,
average daily required dose, you may not get it from just eating it unless you've been eating it for a while. So you have to remember when you take oral foods, it gets processed in our body, and you don't get the buildup in your system as fast as a new, a supplement tab would do. And this is the
I
reason
remember.
why pharmaceutical is
Yeah,
good back in the way.
and you have to remember, zinc is a metal. It doesn't easily get absorbed into our system, right? So actually, it takes 90 days to build up that what do you call it, beneficial amount of zinc in our system. So that's why I was recommending back then zinc picolinate. If you find that and it says chelated, 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 and that is the best form because that makes it highly absorbable into your system. And I saw one that's zinc gluconate, and the label outside on the label says chelated. So I took that because I couldn't find picolinate. But if there's picolinate, that's really the top that I would prefer. Yeah, so it easily gets absorbed into your system. So with that form, I would just take 50 to 75 milligrams. I wouldn't take more than that. If you take an over 150 milligrams a day is way too much. You don't want to do that because that will cause increase in your cholesterol, bad cholesterol. So remember, more doesn't mean it's good, right? So you
What I
gotta.
would recommend is to have these supplements and bring it to your doctor so that your doctor
Mhm.
can take a look at it and compare it with your blood results and see if that dosage is good for you. So that way we're not guessing. So you take all your supplements to your doctor and make sure that it does not contraindicate with the medications that you are already taking.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta find out. But me, I just take it because I do extensive reading about it, depending, because I'm taking some medications too. So I take care of that for myself.
We have a question from
Thick
Eva.
book of drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. This thick book. That's my reference.
That's us nerds. So,
I
so
think
here's a question
somebody
from Kat.
man, that is the U.S. Pharmacopoeia, right? That's big, and you can see all the drug interactions there. So I would like.
This is when my friends and family and my viewers find out how nerd I am, how much of a nerd I am, because they think that I'm just all party, all all galas, all of this. But really, at the end of the day, this is me. I
Oh my
am
God!
a I am a reader. I would just
Yeah.
read all the time for things that would nourish my brain because
Uh-huh. Oh wow.
I am that much of a nerd. But here it is, we sharing what we know to everybody else. So there's a
Yeah.
question from Kat that if you're already taking multivitamin, do you need to take extra dose of zinc?
Yes, I believe you. Look at how much zinc is there. I think it's only 10 or 15 milligrams. And look at how the daily recommended dosage. It says there on the label. It supplies 15% of the daily recommended dosage. So do your math there. How much is that? 15% is 15 milligrams is only 15%. So I need extra of that because I'm taking multivitamins. I'm taking individual vitamins also on the side because it's not enough for me. you know so that I say.
So I'm gonna share with you my secret as an emergency room nurse for 19 years. Okay, so I work for urgent care, I work for
So
ICU, I work for
this is
emergency care.
thank you.
Here's another secret. So when I used to work as a frontline, I usually work either a charge nurse, the critical care nurse, or the triage nurse, was the first person you see when you go to emergency room. So I don't never know what I'm dealing with the whole time. So when I go to work as a nurse, I've always have taken this whole time, not even with this pandemic, my recipe is glutathione, vitamin Z, zinc,
Yes. Oh, you know what? I forgot
multivitamin.
vitamin C. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness! Now that you mentioned vitamin C. Sorry, folks. Allow me to interrupt you there. When you take glutathione, you gotta take vitamin C also side by side, because vitamin C complements the action of glutathione. Vitamin C is the super antioxidant. All right, while glutathione is the master antioxidant in our body. Okay, so the super antioxidant, the vitamin C, is the one that finishes what the glutathione doesn't finish. That's why they're synergistic in action. So if you're taking 500 milligrams of glutathione a day, make sure that you take 500 milligrams, an equivalent amount of vitamin C in a day, and that should be good. That is the best way to make that glutathione work its best, because whatever it doesn't finish, here is the vitamin C that finishes the work. All right. Thank you so much. I'm glad you mentioned vitamin C.
Yes.
Guys.
And this is one way of us promoting our members of the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce of South Los Angeles area. This is one of the things that Beauty Med Aesthetics in the city of Torrance does, is we do the glutathiones, we do hormonal replacements. We also do, when we do vitamin C shots, glutathione shots, we include vitamin C with it. And that's the reason why is it boosts up, or it's synergistic effect, and it doesn't really work well on its own, but with a combination, you got yourself a superpower in there. So that's just one thing that Beauty Med Aesthetics does, along with the things that they also do. So visit them when all of this shelter in place is lifted, to boost your immune system. And one of the things that I do too when I get sick, because I'm human too. So my friends, my close friends knows this, that when I know that I'm getting sick, when I know that my migraine is coming, I go to Beauty Med to get that boost. And I tell you what, the next day or two, I'm back to my normal situation. So I am one of the testimonials that this thing really works. And what you're saying is 100% true.
Okay, that's true. Yeah. So
Thank you so much for that. Let's go on to another question. Well, they have problems with audio, but I'm not sure how to fix it. It's never had it happen before. But we are hoping that you're still getting value from this. So can you hear me okay?
no, it's getting choppy. I think my connection is bad. Is somebody else using a phone? Are you using your phone there, somebody? So
But that's okay. I wanted to show you something, show everybody something while we're on here. This is an infographic of the history of pandemics, and I just wanted for them to know that we are still kind of tiny. Hold on, let me remove this here. We are still kind of tiny. We're right here. The coronavirus is down here. So we still can't prevent this from becoming to be the biggest pandemic of all time. So the reason why I wanted to show this is the times are different now. There's been scientists and doctors that are working on this, and we need to really follow their instructions. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So the reason why we only have, if you see here, the bubonic plague has had up to 50 million deaths, and right now we're only at
I think
157.
reception is really bad.
Go ahead and fix your reception while let's see.
Hold on.
Okay, so let me put her on hold while I'll speak for a little bit. So what I'm trying to get at here is that this is not the first pandemic in history. We all know that. But what we're trying to do here is to give education that, hey, there are still other viruses out there that we are trying to fight. the HIV is still one of the leading virus that is right now. We haven't even begun to level the curve or flatten the curve. So, ladies and gentlemen, while we're here on this coronavirus pandemic, we want to make you aware that there are things that we still need to practice in place so that we stop the growth, the multiplication, and the reinfection of these diseases that already exist out there, whether they're virus or bacteria. We need to continue to make sure that we protect ourselves, and we need to do that not only for our family members, but in order for us to not be the one infecting other people, we always need to make sure that our health is in top shape, so that when we go out there and interact with other people, we are not the ones that are causing the spread. So this is one of the reasons why I want to make you aware of what is going on, because it doesn't stop here. When pandemic COVID-19 is over, our fight against biological problems and diseases is not over. Let me put Miss Evelyn back.
You on that one, because we're so into this coronavirus, and thank you for reminding everybody about being I mean tickling that awareness about the presence of other virus out there. Hepatitis is still very much around, right? And any type, the key there is to practice hygiene, right? Just keep washing your hands, and when you sneeze, cover. Just as common courtesy, you cover. When you cough, cover your mouth. Yes, and then wash your hands every time you touch the surface. When you use the restroom, please wash before you step out. So
I hope so.
one small gesture goes a long way. One small gesture of courtesy goes a long way. Yeah, that's the main thing that we have to remember. And when hepatitis B, that's really scares the heck out of me. But I know I have enough of those shots in my life, because I used to work in the laboratory in research, so I have to get those shots. My research work back then, I'm working right next to an infectious disease laboratory. Right next door, I step out and that's infectious disease, right? So we have to have those shots, you know. So we have to keep track of what we get in our body. That's why I can't emphasize it enough, like you, to be very careful. They say, "Oh, you're too clean. That's why you get sick a lot." It's not so. It's your immune system that makes you really more vulnerable and easily down by any bacteria or virus, right? So it's not just your hygiene practice, but improve the health of your immune system. Yes.
We're going to entertain one more question from one of our viewers right now, from Attorney Monte Clara. Why do we have vitamins, one for males and one for females? I think we want to answer that first question first.
Why do we have what? What's the first question?
Why do we have vitamins, one for males and one for females?
I never looked at the label, but I believe um, the dosage, correct me if I'm wrong, the dosage is different, especially when we get to that age, we're adult. The hormones, we're missing certain hormones in our life. That's why they have to specify the dosage in the vitamins for male and the vitamins for female, right? Because I'm thinking of, because of the hormonal level that we have in our system. Yes. So there's different levels or amount of each supplement that's in that multivitamins.
I
Any more?
believe that's true. And it's only really different from male to female after 50. The reason for that, yes, the reason for that is our body changes, our hormone changes at that moment, and our hormone disintegrates differently, being female and male around that time. It's really when we take we need to take attention to ourselves. And women, it's actually 40. We should start paying attention at 40 because our body starts changing. And women, after they have babies, bodies also change. So these are the things. It's the reason why there's differences between the doses between a male and female. One is male tends to be higher in weight than women. So a lot of these medications are based on weight, kilograms versus the dosages. So that's one of the reasons why male typically would need more versus women. But on the hormonal side, male has a lot of differences between a female, especially after childbearing stages. We women tend to lose a lot more of the calcium in our system after we have delivered children or after 50 because of our estrogen. It has a lot to do with the decomposition of our calcium that's stored in the body. So a lot of females do have osteoporosis or some type of bone degenerative problems after having babies.
Okay, I checked out. Okay, my personal experience, right? I haven't been tested for bone density. And that kind of worried me. And my oldest brother, he's a spine surgeon in the Philippines in St. Luke's Hospital in Quezon City. And then I found out that I have, I don't know how many classmates in high school who are his patients. And one of them has already advanced stage of osteoporosis. And I said, how'd you find out? Well, I saw it in her MRI and X-ray, and I said, what could cause that? And I said, but what about me? I said, my doctor never recommended me to have a bone density test. And my brother said, do not worry about it. You don't need it. My brother said that. I said, how do you know that? I look at you. Every time I look at you, you have the center of balance in your body. The way you stand and your spine is in perfect shape. Because he's told me that ever since we were little, I was very active. I'm always in a running group. I was always swimming. I was in volleyball. I was so active. I'm nonstop. On weekends back then, I used to go to E. Rodriguez Sports Center in Pasig, and I would run, make my rounds run, and said, not too many people know that it takes 15 years for the bone to fully develop. Okay, that's why athletes are so strong. Their bones are so dense. So he said that my bones are dense because I've been very active. So for people, let's say once they get to be 50 and then that's when they start working out, it may help, but it's already a little bit too late, So that's in essence, he said, what he's trying to say is if you're physically active, that will help develop your bones, hard mass of bones, not porosis, porous, like the styrofoam, like foamy, right? So that's a good point that you mentioned about how do you call that, bone density in women. So I would also advocate for working out. There's no harm in working out. Walk, jog, slight jogging. I can't jog because of my knee condition, so I would just run, like almost barely lifting my feet on the ground, So just be active, guys. Dance with me. I need partners. So yeah, thank you for that time.
Thank you for that answer. And our attorney also asked, and we're kind of gearing off from our COVID conversation to just general health conversation. But of course, we want to try to answer all of the questions that we're having right now. And he says, who must be tested for bone density test or what age? I think I would defer that to your personal doctor because there's a lot of factors. That there's genetics, there's also the medications you're taking, and there's your physical activity, so there's a lot of it's there's no age. It's not like a scan that, by a certain age you get a colonoscopy, by a certain age you get a mammogram. It's not like that. The doctors would have to look at you and determine from your blood work if there's going to be some abnormalities. So then that's when they would order that for you. So it's not age specific, and it's not a when, it's when. Yeah. So it has a lot of factors to that.
Yeah, I've heard of patients having osteoporosis at such a young age because it's on their blood test. If there's very high calcium in their blood test, that means to say your bone is not retaining your calcium. It's being thrown out there into your blood. So that is early stage of what do you call that, osteoporosis already, way before it's a premature development of osteoporosis. So very true. You have to ask your doctor that. It's a case to case basis. They always get your history in the family, right? If you have history of cancer or diabetes or asthma, so it depends on that one too. The overall picture of your what do you call that, panel, blood panel, chemistry. They look at that. Yes, that's why I said I'm like I said my age before. I haven't been tested for bone density, and I just wonder. But my brother clearly said that to me. Don't worry, I will be the first one to tell you if you need it. Yeah, thank you
That's
so much.
true.
I'm so happy about that.
Thank you for all your questions. We are actually over 1 hour of our conversation. Can you believe that? We're having so much fun. But we thank you for all your questions. We thank you for staying with us for the entire hour. This has been a nice conversation, a kind of a way to re-educate ourselves on what to do, because people are getting bored, don't know what to do with themselves at this time. So we want to get you more involved, get everybody involved on community care, on how to take care of themselves at home. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, Miss Evelyn Apostol, for taking your time out of your busy schedule. I purposely put you on mute because I didn't want that echo. But yes, I want to thank you personally for having this time to chat with us. We're going to do it again. This has been a project of myself and the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce of South Los Angeles area, and we are proudly announcing to everybody that we are now partners for the CPA, which is the Clean Power Alliance. And thank you for Miss Allison Manas for helping us for that partnership. And we will be doing this more often, more regularly. And this would be an interview that's going to be transferred to the timeline, my timeline, to the timeline of the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce. I will still do it on a personal basis as well, but a lot of this will be channeled through the Philam Chamber of Commerce business page, because we want to promote our members such as yourself, and we also want to promote more community involvement. So we will have the rotation, and you will be seeing the board members of the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce of Southern Los Angeles area doing these interviews, especially that we can't go out and do networking. So we're going to do it more virtually this way. So more questions will be answered, more communication will be done, and more awareness of what we're doing out there to help our community thrive through this challenging pandemic period. So hopefully you guys have gotten a lot of value from today's conversation. Let's keep on informing each other on updates and pertinent materials and relative materials that could help each other. And thank you again, and we'll see you soon. See you on our next episode. Thank you, Evelyn. Let me put you.
My
Last word
pleasure.
for our viewers.
And yeah, be careful be careful when you go out there. Just use your common sense and practice utmost care, right? And the precautions, right? That's all. That's all. Yes. Thank you. And have a great weekend, folks. Bye
Thank
bye.
you, everyone, and have a great weekend. Bye.
Please, bye. Mwah.
Mwah.